We are evolving, of course, our relationship with them.
Yes.
I think we talked earlier about our pilot program in Alberta where we are using 600 square feet of their existing real estate to have a co-located store.
Right.
And of course, exploring those opportunities in other provinces. So stay tuned on that, but that's certainly in the works.
My next guest is Trevor Fencott. He's the CEO of Flower Holdings Corp, trades on the TSX under the symbol FAF. Trevor, welcome back.
Thanks for having me again.
Trevor, it's awesome to talk to you. I'm most curious as to how is your deal going with the Circle K stores? Have you guys started selling cannabis products in Circle K stores yet?
No, that's a fair ways off, but we are evolving, of course, our relationship with them.
Yes.
I think we talked earlier about our pilot program in Alberta where we are using 600 square feet of their existing real estate to have a co-located store.
Right.
And of course, exploring those opportunities in other provinces. So stay tuned on that, but that's certainly in the works.
Okay. So you're up to 87 stores now. And
Yep.
is your, I'm going to go strictly from investor interest here. Is your margin improving in terms of as your revenue grows across those stores?
Well, we're in a tricky spot right now, actually, because we've got a lot of licensing happening in key markets like Ontario. So I don't know if you recall, Alberta over-licensed for a bit and margins sort of went down, revenue went down in stores and it stabilized. Mm-hmm. In Ontario, we basically doubled the license count in the last 12 months. So that's, of course, having an impact. And I think we're also seeing the emergence of what I'm going to call the value disruptors. So there are groups out there now that are doing deep discount deep discount cannabis. So we're going to start to see the emergence of that as a category, and we're going to, need to respond to it. So,
right.
So I think that for the moment, we don't have stable margins, I guess, is the underlying point. We're in transition.
So are these value disruptors, are they essentially new entrants trying to claw out a niche in the marketplace using cutthroat pricing?
You said it, not me.
Well, let's call a spade here. This is partially to claw out some market share, obviously, but also, is the main competition for retailers still the black market across Canada?
Yeah, I think that's still a fair assumption. The illegal market is tremendously large, and it's also very well organized. People sort of seem to have discounted it. Like they do things like delivery, same day delivery, same hour delivery. They have products that aren't available in the legal market. So there's still a lot of competitive forces being exerted by the illegal market for sure.
Yeah, that's not a surprise. Out here in southwestern Ontario, we have a lot of illegal grows. The OPP are constantly shutting down large operations, like we're talking above 10,000 plants in greenhouses, and people are exploiting the large capacity personal prescriptions to gang them up on a single property. You can gang up to 4, and that creates an expectation that there's going to be a large cannabis grow, but these guys are going over the top. So, looking back to 2018 when cannabis first went recreationally legal, has there been any improvement in the situation vis-a-vis the illegal grow supply, or is it the same, or is it worse?
No, it is getting better. Every time the legal market aligns itself with what consumers want, and there's no friction, you make an improvement. So, for example, in Ontario, where delivery has de facto been allowed during the pandemic, we've seen sort of really, really great strides there because, of course, you can deliver something to our customers, for example, in 1 hour. It's becoming more like pizza delivery, right? This is something that is accessible to people. And when you give people the products they want, so the 2.0 products like vapes, concentrates, edibles, that also takes a big chunk out of the illegal market. Where I think we're still going to struggle is things like whenever you have a government control choke point in the middle. So, for example, in Ontario, we have the OCS. Alberta has a centralized buying body. Those introduce inefficiencies to the market that the illegal market capitalizes on. So, for example, we're starting to try to work through white label and house brand programs here. In the illegal market, there'd be no regulation. You just start your own brand and away you go. There's no regulation, no time is lost. There's no inefficiency in there for them. So for us, we're kind of catching up there. So every time we take a step forward, it's meaningful, and we're starting to see that. But I go back to my old thing. Saskatchewan had it right day one. Full e-commerce day one, direct to licensed producer deals. So you could do white labeling from day one in Saskatchewan. You could do delivery. Everything that was available could be done in Saskatchewan. And the other provinces are slowly catching up to that thinking because, again, it's the government's out of the business of cannabis in Saskatchewan. It's into the business of regulating. So, and that's what we're seeing.
Wow, I never thought I'd say it, but it sounds like Saskatchewan's regulation is a good thing. So is it safe to say that the having to compete with the black market has accelerated the adoption of efficiencies in the legal retail side?
Yeah, no, I do think that hasn't been accelerated because the final frontier of competition. So first you have to compete on price, right. And we saw that happen in Canada. And I think that price war is largely being won at the moment. Then you have to compete on product selection. And that's where we're kind of conflicted at the moment because, of course, we've got the OCS limiting SKU count now. So we've got fewer SKUs that are going to be available to consumers. We don't really have a view on broad white label or house brand stuff. So we're not competitive on product selection yet, but we'll get there, I think. Then the final kind of battleground is, of course, convenience. How can I access this product in a way that I want to? So, to the extent that we solve those three problems, you've solved the illegal market problem. And I'd go to Colorado as an example. We're not doing anything new here. Colorado has zero illegal market, zero, not 1%, 2%, zero. The only illegal market they have is a resale market, which of course we still have here in Canada for the resale of booze. People selling to people they shouldn't, they're buying it and then reselling it. That's the only illegal market in Colorado.
So then what's the biggest driver of your sales at this point? Is it still dried flower?
Yeah, dried flower is still a category leader for sure. We're seeing pre-rolls actually become increasingly common, and I suspect that there's going to be a slow sort of overtake there because pre-roll is really just dried flower that's pre-packaged in a more convenient, method. And you're seeing some real innovation there. Like I've got to give my hat is off to Redican for designing a pre-roll format that looks actually fairly normal. It's not, the Health Canada packaging is on the outside and the inside. I think they're called Ready Rolls or something, but it's basically 10 pre-rolls that are packed into a little package that you could carry with you. So, we're seeing some innovation there that's driving adoption.
Huh, that's interesting. Okay, so then how does and this is just a tangent out of left field because the psychedelics realm is emerging, but it's all clinical based. Is there any future in your estimation that there's going to be some psychedelic products allowed in the cannabis system?
Yeah, we've looked at that. I think it's highly unlikely. The path of cannabis is not the path of psychedelics. I think you're right. There's going to be a medical focus on this, but we're still, in my opinion, sort of 5-10 years away on the kind of research side to get our heads around what these substances would do in an adult use environment. I think things like medical trials on things like PTSD, all these things make sense, but we're so early in the piece on that. With cannabis, we were starting with kind of 40 years of historical information on it. It's been around for longer and a wider adoption.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, Trevor, well, that's a great update. We'll leave it there for now and come back to you soon. Thanks very much for joining me today.
Thanks so much for having me.
You bet. Bye for now.